Hello and welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be looking at all the items I will be picking up for Switch 2 on day one. I've got them all pre-ordered and ready to go. I'm going to be looking at the system itself, the games, and some of the accessories and things that I recommend that you pick up, and some of those can be really important because it may be something that you've left off your own list. So let's get to it, and starting off with the obvious is the console itself, and as time has gone on I've got more and more excited for Switch 2. The more Nintendo have shown, the more it's amped up my excitement and got me really ready for this console. So there are two different choices for what you go for. You can either get the Switch 2 on its own, or you can get it in the Mario Kart pack, and I have gone for the Mario Kart pack like a lot of people out there. It does pain me a bit as a physical collector having to get my first game on Switch 2 being a digital code in the box, but unfortunately the cost difference was just so much. I'm spending a lot of money on this launch and a lot of money on games in general as my hobby, so if I can make cuts anywhere, I have to do it. And it's worked out that I'm getting around a £75 game for around £35 here in the UK. So it's a big difference, so I have gone for the Mario Kart bundle. Next up, we're going to be talking about accessories. I'll leave the games until the next section other than Mario Kart and talk about the accessories. And as I said, this is an area where you can get really important details that you maybe forget about for day one. And the first one that I'm going to talk about is a really important one, and this is a reminder for all brand new electronic devices with a screen. Day one, make sure you get a glass screen protector. This is a must, and it's actually an item that I've got on hand. The next two items I'm going to talk about I actually have in my possession for Switch 2 already, ready to go, and the glass screen protector was the first thing I bought. I got mine for around £3.99 I think for a pack of 2 on Amazon. You can check out different websites, but Amazon's usually the go-to place for them. They tend to be cheap and cheerful, and they keep your device protected. Get it on as soon as you get the Switch 2 out of the box, minimises any dust and things that can get on your screen, and keeps it protected from day one. We remember back to the Switch 1 launch, there was a lot of controversy around screen scratches with the dock. It ended up with the dock sock phenomenon. Well, the way to protect against that for your Switch 2 is to get a glass screen protector on there day one, because the Switch 2 screen is unfortunately plastic, but regardless, get a screen protector on there and it will protect your investment. Next item, as I said, I've got it in hand already, and that is a micro SD express card. And again, very important, you're looking for the express version of a micro SD card. A normal micro SD will not work on this system. You're going to need the faster speeds of the micro SD express, and this is one that you could maybe do without. It all just depends on your own circumstances, and I'll give you the reasons why I'm picking it up, or why I've already picked it up. First of all, I think there might be a bit of a rush at launch for these. I think they'll maybe be a bit harder to get. Unfortunately, with a lot of people getting Micro Express for the first time, it's going to cause a bit of a demand. So you might have a bit of an issue picking one of these up. So I decided to get my order in and get one delivered straight away so that I had it in hand on person. Now, the reason I need one is because I have a large library of digital games. I have a lot of indie games and downloadable games on my Nintendo Switch account, and I want to migrate them obviously over to Nintendo Switch 2 and have the ability to download them all. Now, the system memory will probably be enough to really store all of those for the meantime, but with a lot of game purchases going digital, so we know about the game key cards, and you're going to have to download the full software for that. Unfortunately, I think I'm going to need a memory card sooner rather than later, maybe within the first few months of the Nintendo Switch being out. But if that's not the case for you, this is something you can hold off on, because the Switch has increased its storage capacity, or the Switch 2 has increased its storage capacity, and to be honest, memory always goes down in price. So if this isn't something you're going to need for 6 months, a year plus, wait for those deals to come through, wait for it to become a far more useful technology to people, and you'll see the price start to plummet, and you can maybe pick one up then. But if you're like me and you have a large digital library on Nintendo Switch, or a large library of indie games on Nintendo Switch, or you think you're going to be having to buy a few game key cards for big titles, big software that's going to require a lot of download, well, then it's maybe worth picking one up for day one. The next item is also a protective thing, much like the screen protector. I have ordered a case. I'm getting the official Nintendo one. Picked up the official Nintendo one for my Switch as well when it first launched, and then I have a few extra ones that I picked up later on, and I think I'm going to do the same. Just pick up the official one, and it's got space for a few different games in it. And now we get on to the fun accessories and peripherals, and first up in terms of that segment is going to be the Pro Controller. The Pro Controller on Nintendo Switch 1 got a lot of playtime out of me. I used it pretty much all the time for Splatoon. I played both the Zelda games with it. It's an amazing controller in the hand. It works really well. Battery lasts forever on these, so it's really awesome to see that we're getting a new upgrade to these. Again, this is one that if you're low on funds, if you're struggling to make the price for the Nintendo Switch 2, and you have a Pro Controller already, you don't really need. You can use the Pro Controller. The only issue with that I would warn people of is the home button functionality for turning your console on and things like that will not work with the original Pro Controller on the Nintendo Switch 2. I have also pre-ordered the Nintendo Switch camera. Now, I decided not to go for the official one, and I have gone for the Hori Piranha Plant one. And the reason being is, to be perfectly honest, I don't really think I'm going to use this peripheral. I don't see the real reason or need to get it. I can see in a certain scenario, or if you're a certain type of person with a friend group that all has Switches and you want to get on and have that style of play, but it's not something that my friends with Switches would really do, I don't think. Voice chat, yes, but the video chat, no. But I wanted to have it so that I would have the functionality in certain games, because I know certain games are going to use it, and it may be fun in some of those, or there may be a use case for it. But I didn't really want to stump up the full price for the actual official one. And then I got a really good deal on the Hori one. I managed to get in with a pricing error from Amazon. So I think in the UK I got this for $24.99, which is a really low price for this. And I'm looking at it in such a way that the Piranha Plant one, yes, it's got a lower resolution, so keep that in mind if it is something you're really looking for using. The Piranha Plant one's probably not the best to go for, but just having the Piranha Plant there and having it sitting beside the Switch 2, and I seen the ability to take the top off it and you can actually use it in handheld mode. I don't think I probably ever will, but this matches my needs in terms of the functionalities there. If I ever do need to use it, I at least have that option to experience, yes, a lower resolution version of this, but I have the experience there, and then the rest of the time I can more or less use this as a Piranha Plant decoration or a little collectible, and I got it for a really good price, so it's worked out quite well. Another controller is next up on my list, and this is the GameCube controller. If you've watched my channel, you've maybe heard me talking about GameCube controllers in the past. This is my favorite controller that's ever been released. The GameCube controller I absolutely love. Definitely the most comfortable in-hand controller. I love the A button being in the middle, and then you just have to rock your thumb to reach the other buttons. Really lovely design, and I'm more than thrilled that we're getting GameCube games on Nintendo Switch 2, and I'm more than thrilled that they're bringing out this repurposed kind of controller in the style, pretty much exact one-to-one, of the original GameCube controller. This again is one that I could have waited for, but I have the NES, the SNES, I have the Japanese Famicom controllers, I have the N64 one, the Genesis one, or Mega Drive here in the UK. So I have all of those already for the Nintendo Switch Online controllers. I just wanted to make sure, in case these are hard to get in the future, and I do plan to use this a lot on the Nintendo Switch Online GameCube games anyway, so it's worth picking up. I also picked up one that is not essential, and you're seeing that a lot on this list. You can really get Switch 2 on day one with, say, just the Mario Kart bundle, and you're good to go and you don't need all this stuff. But if you're a really big fan or you think you're going to use these things, it is sometimes just worth getting them on day one, and it also adds to the excitement factor, getting all your packages coming in and having to try all the different peripherals. And I picked up the Mario Kart wheels. This isn't something I normally would pick up, to be perfectly honest. I didn't really like the motion wheel controls for Mario Kart on the Wii, for example, or Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U or Switch. But the reason I got this is I have younger family members that I'm going to be playing Mario Kart with, and they're maybe not the best at using the controller in terms of the kind of complexities of it. They're very young, and this is a way to get them involved. So I didn't really buy it for me. I probably won't really use it, but I'm picking these up simply so that when I'm having Mario Kart tournaments in the house and playing with family and friends, that I can pull these out for younger gamers that are more comfortable in that way. And the final kind of extra before I get into the actual games, which is the most important part of any system, I guess, is the amiibo. I've ordered the Zelda amiibo. There are 2 sets of amiibo coming on launch day for Switch, or I believe they're both coming on launch day. One is the Street Fighter 6 set, and the other are the Legend of Zelda ones. I've picked up the Legend of Zelda ones. I have every other Zelda amiibo that's ever been released, so it was a no-brainer that I wanted to get these. So on to the real meat and potatoes now, which are the actual games themselves. As I said, I'm already getting Mario Kart World with the system. It's annoying that it's not physical, but again, as I've explained, the price difference was just too much. Now, what else am I picking up? Well, unfortunately, Switch 2 has really dropped the ball, I think, with physical collectors. And it's really disappointing because Switch 1 was such a champion for physical games. You've seen my collection, you've heard me talk about Switch physicals. I have a whole series of Switch physicals to buy, things that I think will be rare. It's been an amazing generation for physical collectors, and Switch 2 has kind of dropped the ball a bit. But one game that hasn't done that, and one developer that hasn't done that, is Cyberpunk 2077. I actually already own this game on the PlayStation 5, but once I found out this has crossplay, I was definitely more than happy to give them my money, because they are supporting a full game on cartridge on the Nintendo Switch, and the game actually looks like it runs really well. So I think this one's going to be a big seller of all the third-party games. This probably will sell the most, I would say, for that reason alone. And you've got to give it up for CD Projekt Red, who have really knocked it out of the park. They've done this with Witcher 3 on the Nintendo Switch. That was one of those impossible kind of ports. This seems like something quite similar, but you've really got to hand it to them that they are still championing physical games and physical media on Nintendo Switch 2. My next example, though, is one that is not championing physical media, but unfortunately I've been left with no other real choice if I want to play this game, and that is Bravely Default. And I want to pick this up because I have the original on the 3DS, and I'm interested in playing it again. I think the upgrades, while not perfect, and I know a lot of AI cleaning up has been used and it's maybe not perfect, but it does bring the game to a more modern age and time, and I'm really looking forward to playing this on Nintendo Switch 2, but much to my disappointment, this is coming on a game keycard, and I tried to weigh up the options then. I either buy this physically on the game keycard, and physically in quotation marks because there's nothing really there, or I get it digitally, and for any game that is kind of full price, especially when new, I try not to get it digitally, especially on Nintendo, because they have been bad about preserving your digital purchases in the past, so it's always left me wary. But this time I have chosen to go for the game keycard, much for those reasons. I don't really like having the ability to not sell the game on, which helps keep things cheaper, helps me experience more games. And I kind of just out of interest want to see what game keycards are like on day one as well. I want to have one in my hand, I want to look at it, I want to see how the process works, and then that'll help me decide in the future. Bravely Default was a game that I did want to actually pick up. So in that way, I was going to probably get it anyway. If it had have been digital only, I probably would have waited for a sale because I don't really like paying full price for digital games. But with it being a console launch and with me wanting to try a few different things out and see how these game key cards worked, I have chosen to pick this up, and I know that's going to annoy a lot of physical collectors out there. A lot of people are boycotting anything on a game key card, but I think the way I can justify it, and the only thing I can say, is I was going to probably buy this anyway. So if this is the only way, I would rather have the version that is quasi-physical so that I can possibly sell it on if needs be in the future, rather than just the digital. But it's very, very unfortunate that this is the route they have chosen to go with this title. And then we get on to a couple of digital only games, and this is the Switch 2 Welcome Tour and Fast Fusion. Switch 2 Welcome Tour I think looks probably not really the best, and I do think it should have been bundled in with the system. It should have just came automatically loaded onto every system. I think it's a fun little idea. I thought it was kind of stupid looking to begin with, and then once I seen it on the Treehouse and they delved into a couple of the mini games from it, I thought, you know, for the price that they're charging, which I believe is £7, it's not really that bad. And it'll give me some kind of gameplay out of it on day one. I'll probably play this for a few hours and that'll probably be it. I might never touch it again. If someone comes over and wants to know about the Switch 2 or wants to try out the mouse mode or something like that, then it's something that we can put on. But other than me playing it on day one, I don't think I'll really go back to it other than that. But it's a very cheap experience. It is a bit ridiculous though that they didn't just include this on every system, but I guess Nintendo has to make their money out of everyone, so I am going to pick it up. I've got it pre-ordered on the eShop at the moment, and I'm looking forward to playing it on day one just to look over the features of the new system. Fast Fusion, I've had the fast games on Wii U, Switch, and Switch 2 is going to be no different. Picking this up on day one, again, this is a publisher that really needs to be supported because the price they've brought this in for is extraordinary. I think it's going to be £13.49, which is a great price for a game that looks fantastic. If you've never played the fast games, definitely think about picking this up. Frenetic racing games, it'll remind you, if you're a Nintendo fan, of something kind of akin to F-Zero, or if you're a fan on PlayStation of the Wipeout series. But the graphics for this look really great. It'll be a nice way to show off your Switch 2, and I'm very much looking forward to playing the next in the series. And the final set of items that I want to look at today are the updated Nintendo Switch games. I'm not buying the physical of these. Some of them I actually already own 2 versions of the game, but I will be getting the upgrade for a couple of titles out of the ones that they're offering. So first of all, I'll be getting Breath of the Wild, and second of all, I'll be getting the Tears of the Kingdom update. The great thing about these, and something to keep in mind, is if you have the Nintendo Online, I think it's the top tier you need to have for it, you get these upgrades for free. I would have actually paid for the digital upgrade. As I said, I'm probably not going to buy them physically again unless they're on a really steep discount. For the like of Breath of the Wild, I bought it when the system first came out. I then have bought the Japanese version, which had all the DLC included on the cartridge. I'd already bought the DLC digitally as well, so I just don't really want to buy this for a third time, unfortunately, but it's just a cost-saving measure. And I would have got the digital upgrade though, but without having to pay for it and it just being included in my online, this is a no-brainer that I'm going to download and install this on day one, and I can't wait to check out Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom in their higher frame rate and higher resolution. With that as well, it's a special little mention here to the GameCube games. We touched on them earlier with the GameCube controller, but again, I will be trying those out. I'm subscribed to the top tier of Nintendo Online, and I think it's only the top tier that will get you these GameCube rewards, so keep that in mind. But there's another few titles that I will also be picking up day one and trying out on the Nintendo Switch 2. So it's been a long road to Nintendo Switch 2. That's everything I'm picking up on day one, from consoles to peripherals to little extras and all the game titles. Let me know down below what you're picking up. Let me know if you're interested in trying out game key cards or if it's something you just completely swear against, and any other peripherals or things that I've maybe forgot to mention. And let me know down below. We'll have a bit of a discussion about it. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.